You know, a lot of pirates wear eye patches. And not all the time because they have one eye. They have another purpose, you see. And that's so when you go below deck, you can switch the eye patch to the other eye and you can see much more clearly in the dark. That's not the case with Stone-Eyed Sam, however, because he had only one eye. And you can find out now, because we're going to continue the tale from where we left off. So, come closer, and we shall continue this tale. Chapter 10, The Coming Storm. Even though there were no windows and the once lit torches had rotted in their sockets, a ghostly bluish light illuminated the room. Droplets of rain trickled through the areas where the grand marble ceiling had crumbled away, sprinkling the dead king and his subjects. The pirate himself was still dressed in the richest fabrics, all rotted and full of holes. Velvet, silk, and the finest linen were now as worthless as Arabella's ruined skirt. A medallion of solid gold hung heavy on a chain around his neck. An orb of finely polished onyx filled his left eye socket, the stone that gave Stone-Eyed Sam his name. On his bony head was an elaborate pirate hat that managed to escape the perils of time. Its broad leather brim and feathers were all intact, and the captain still looked cocky in it. Stone-Eyed Sam was a pirate king, even to the end, and most importantly, he had a really great hat. Everyone was right in the middle of something, Arabella said. It's like they all dropped dead at once. With Jack leading, the crew picked its way slowly through the skeletons. It was hard to avoid all of the bones. Something crunched under Arabella's foot. Too late, she realized it was the hand of an outstretched subject on the floor. Loyal to the last, Jack said, leaning down and looking directly into the skull's eye sockets. Touching, really. Arabella shivered as the group moved on to the throne. Jack let out a strangled scream. Everyone jumped and turned. Fitzwilliam reached for his sword. Look! Jack said in despair, pointing. A rope hung in the shadows, one end leading up to a hole in the roof, where the rain was now pouring in. The other end of the rope hung in an elaborate knot directly over Stone-Eyed Sam on his throne. And the Pirate King himself was missing something very important. His left arm, Fitzwilliam realized. He turned to Arabella. Jack had already torn his bandana off in frustration and thrown it to the ground. You said that all the legends recall the Sword of Cortés clutched in Sam's left hand. It's been ripped from his shoulder, Jean said, giving a low whistle. Probably by whoever left this rope. He bent down and examined the dust on the throne. Whoever did this came very recently and must have avoided the booby traps in the Grand Hall completely. He knew enough to come around the back way, Jack said, stamping his feet in frustration. Jack ran a hand through his now bare and almost soaking wet hair and stomped over to Stone-Eyed Sam. He glared at the skeleton, which seemed to grin at him from underneath his leather tricon. It really was a fabulous hat, thought Jack. Just the sort a powerful man should wear. Without a moment's hesitation, Jack swiped the flamboyantly plumed hat from the ivory skull and brushed it off, then popped it on its head. Jack! The man is dead, Fitzwilliam said disgustedly. It's the least he owes me, considering all the trouble we went through to get here, Jack said defensively. As soon as he could, he would find a mirror. He was pretty sure he looked dashing in his new hat. I can't believe this, Arabella said sadly, sitting down on the steps of the throne. All she had to look forward to now was her dad's temper, and once again serving pints of ale to the slime of the earth at the fateful bride until marriage or death. It seemed so lucky finding this island, as if we were already at the end of our quest, Fitzwilliam sighed. He tried to put on a brave face, but couldn't hide his bitter disappointment. I suppose it will be bananas and some horrid wife for me now. Even Jean and Toulon weren't unaffected by the sorrow of their new friends. Constance mewed pitifully, and Arabella, in her sadness, instinctively petted the cat behind the ears before realizing what she was doing and pulling her hand quickly away. Jack bent over the dead pirate. Turning to make sure no one was looking, he slipped his finger into Sam's eye socket and pocketed the pirate's stony eye. Then he noticed a dull and rusty glint under the captain's rotted lace collar. Jack grinned and snapped the key he found there off its leather cord. There's one thing about kings and pirates, my lads, and lassie, and cat, beast, thing, he said, holding the key up to show the others. They both love treasure, and sword or not, I'll bet Stone-Eyed Sam had quite the haul hidden somewhere in this place. Everyone's, even Constance's eyes, lit up at that. An hour later, they had searched every room in the palace, including the dungeon and the treasure vaults, but they had found nothing more than a few doubloons. They didn't even need the key. The wooden doors to the vaults had rotted away. There were some pretty lamps and old furniture and bolts of rotting silk in Captain Stone-Eyed Sam's bedroom, but nothing shiny, precious, and easy to carry. Someone has come already and cleaned this place out, Fitzwilliam observed. No, there's no footprints, Arabella pointed out, like there were around the throne room. Jack frowned, thinking. Maybe this Sam was allergic to treasure, Jean said, scratching Constance under the chin. Jack's eyes lit up. He was a pirate long before he was a king, he said. So, Arabella called, chasing after him. The others followed. So? Old habits are hard to break, Belle, he said, his voice echoing the royal bedroom. Give me a hand with this, he ordered, pulling at the enormous ebony bed. Jean and Fitzwilliam bent down to help. What nonsense is this, Jack? Fitzwilliam demanded. We are not looking for his chamber pot, I hope. Jack sighed in disgust, while ripping up the small rotted rug that was under the bed. You're not thinking like a pirate, Fitzy. When it comes to treasure, trust no one, and keep it close at hand. Believe me, I know, he added darkly. He ran his hands over the floorboards and grinned when his fingers hit the groove that he was sure he would find. He blew a cloud of dust away and pointed at the keyhole in the door hidden in the floor. The key fitted perfectly. Light me a torch, someone, Jack ordered, handing over his flint and tinder kit. Arabella and Toulon quickly did as he said. He opened up the hatch and stuck his head down, holding the torch before him. Well? Jean asked impatiently. Well, Jack said calmly, dropping the torch down into the blackness. See for yourself. Fitzwilliam, Arabella, Toulon, Jean, and Constance crowded around eagerly. But it was Fitzwilliam who saw it first. By the king's blood, he swore. The torchlight flickered on what looked like a room full of gold. And I'm afraid that's all we have time for. So, we appear to have found Stony-Eyed Sam's treasure. The Sword of Cortés might be gone, but it's not all a loss. So, where do we go from here? Well, you have to tune in tomorrow to find out, won't you? So, until then, keep your sailing smooth, the wind always at your back, and may your compass always point true. Good night.